began in the Earth year 2257 with the founding of the last of the Babylon stations, located deep in neutral space.
Hey, Ramsey, what did we just watch?
We just watched Babylon 5, The Gathering, which is the pilot. It's actually the re-aired pilot of Babylon 5 when it went to TBS. They edited it a little bit, threw in a little bit of established backstory, made some connections. Prettied it up, sort of, if that's to be believed.
What did they change?
They added a few voiceovers. They extended some scenes. They focused on a few things that they thought would establish the setting a little bit better.
They didn't change the graphics at all.
Oh, no. I want to ask you guys 2 questions before we started. First question. Who are you?
Existentially, or like, who am I?
Just a question.
I don't know how to answer that.
I'm Poncho.
What do you want?
More hours in the day.
So yeah, this was the pilot for Babylon 5. As a fan of Babylon 5, the pilot's pretty rough. It's a pretty rough go, even the kind of retooled, reimagined thing. But before we kind of get into the nitty-gritty, I really just kind of want to know what you guys think over, like, just your initial impressions, like when it started up. What were the first things that pop in your mind?
It wasn't as bad as I was prepared for it to be.
That's a pretty glowing review.
Yeah.
To be honest.
It was just as bad as I was prepared for it to be. It wasn't as good as I was prepared for it to be, I should probably say. But it's a pilot, and I've never once, I don't think I've loved a single pilot of anything ever, so.
The pilot was not great. A lot changes from pilot to episode 1, specifically a lot of casting changes. Huge makeup shift. Makeup improves astronomically. CG effects remain mostly the same. They get a little bit more ambitious with some of what they go for as far as action and things like that. They have to break it down into like a 45-minute episode as well, so things are paced a little differently. But as we got into the B5, I mean, is there anything that struck you? Anything you had questions about? Anything that was weird about the pilot?
There's a lot of stuff that was weird. I haven't really watched Babylon 5 before.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people that I know were really, really into it. They've always tried to make me watch it or get me to watch it. I couldn't get past the crappy effects and the bad acting. I was able to get past the crappy effects and the bad acting. It seems like there's a pretty cool story to be told in Babylon 5.
Yes.
So, like, Lieutenant Commander, what's her face? Takashima. She was hard to get through. All her scenes were hard to get through every time, and I blame the director. Like, when she, I think John talked about, like, her monologues when she's on the command deck. Like, that's a director issue. That's not an acting issue.
That was like everyone, though. It was like a stage play where it seemed like whenever someone had to speak, the lights dimmed on everyone else.
It's almost like a noir.
And it was a spotlight on them,
Yeah.
and they were just kind of monologuing and over emoting. It was like a stage play or a Spanish soap opera.
Yeah. I can't say that. I can't defend that. It is 100% what it is. Worse in the pilot than in anything else, but B5 is known for its monologues. They're generally better placed in the episodes than they are in the pilot, but I can't blame the directing too much because Takashima, the wonderful actress who played her, did not return. She was replaced by Claudia Christian as the lieutenant commander, who is infinitely better. You actually make a 180 in my opinion. I could watch her. If you ever seen Strays, ever see like the movie about the feral cats that come and murder people?
No, I don't.
Claudia Christian.
Anybody home?
They have 9 lives. We only have 1.
That's your loss.
It's not something I would watch.
They do replace several actors going into the series. Could you guess? I think I kind of dropped some hints, but I already just told you Takashima. But who do you, if you were to guess what the next actor is, what the other actor is that's replaced immediately? Or actress?
Everyone except for the security guy.
Yeah, I think fake Bruce Willis is the guy who sticks around the longest.
How about the alien, like the ambassadors, which are the main alien cast?
Well, I've seen the picture of at least the dude's hair. Oh, then the brown dude who's like, we're the youngest race and the whatever. That seems like a throwaway villain.
You would get rid of Jakar.
Yeah.
You would get rid of Jakar. The fact that I know his name at the drop of a hat probably
it tells me
gives
that I'm
away
wrong.
that they do not get rid of Jakar. He's one of the more enjoyable people to watch. The two, in my opinion, alien ambassadors, the Lando Minolari and Jakar, they're the most fun to watch. They're probably the most cartoonish of the characters, the ones that are most...
It's the guy with the weird hair.
Nice shark. Pretty shark.
Then the guy who was talking about...
Now, would you prefer to be conscious or unconscious during the mating? I would prefer conscious, but I don't know what your pleasure threshold is.
Sexing with the...
Sexing
and the
telepath.
girl with the crown.
Sure.
Delenn, Ambassador Delenn.
There once was a man from Nantucket.
She does not get replaced either. However, she undergoes a significant makeup shift.
She get hot?
I think they originally were going for that entire race to make them androgynous, gender-wise. They wanted them to just be kind of maybe female, maybe male. But by the time they did episode 1 of season 1, they made her more clearly female. But they changed her makeup a lot, and they didn't do anything there.
Oh, God, yeah, the doctor.
All of the humans seemed like they could go.
Except for fake Bruce Willis.
Fake Bruce Willis stays.
I bet you as soon as like they were recording and as soon as that doctor said methane.
The bargain basement Bruce Willis is Jerry Doyle.
That sounds like a character Bruce Willis would play.
Yeah.
Sorry you had to hear that.
Old news.
He looks like Bruce Willis and Hudson Hawk.
He does have he's a Hudson Hawk Bruce Willis kind of.
Like, I bet you he does a really good Bruce Willis impression.
Possibly. I don't know. He is definitely a character that sticks around. We lose Lita Alexander as the head telepath right away.
Oh yeah, I didn't figure that she stayed around.
We lost her, but we do have a telepath on the show as a semi-regular.
Just whenever they need brains melded.
Yeah. Well, the telepaths are a pretty important subplot, especially for Earth. It's a pretty big deal.
I don't know if this is a story thing. I kind of like the way that they were showing the ship, or the station. Like the station seemed like it was becoming a character for it. It looks like it's it looks very much like just exploring that through the show can be pretty cool. I don't know. I probably need to watch it again to pick everything up.
Not really. You probably need to go into for that. The pilot drops a few hints of things, and it's the events of the pilot are kind of important, but they refer back to them. So really, season 1 is the one that you jump in. The pilot's not.
But like the stuff that they mentioned, like they mentioned the 4 previous things, like they were obvious like mentions, like they were like.
Why is it called Babylon 5?
Babylons 1, 2, and 3 were sabotaged and destroyed. Number 4 vanished without a trace 24 hours after becoming operational. To this day, no one knows what happened to it.
We can talk about this thing.
Yeah.
And then this thing also happened. Like it's almost like the link boxes when you're watching a video.
It's interesting watching something like this now. In this age of Netflix and Game of Thrones and all these ongoing serialized stories, at the time that this show came out, there really wasn't anybody doing this.
How many seasons did this show end up going for?
5 seasons. It shot for 5 seasons. That was their plan. He was going to do a 5-season arc like a book with the opening intro, and then you've got the rising action and all that whole deal. They managed to do 5 seasons. They had to jump networks to do it, but they got 5 seasons. I could not get any of their spin-offs to take, really, which is unfortunate because there was at least one decent one. So, Poncho, same question.
Well, I was thinking about this, right? Especially because John just brought up that they had 4 previous Babylon stations, which I presume were serving the same purpose?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, to be clear, there were supposed to be 4. They never went operational. The Babylon 4 was the only one that managed to get finished
and then
went operational and then immediately disappeared.
The other ones were sabotaged and destroyed.
Yeah, during the time that they were being built.
Why didn't they, after the third one, why didn't they put all this on a planet? Like, why didn't they just say, this planet is the neutral planet, in the neutral territory, we can do all your shit here. Look, it'll be a lot harder to sabotage this entire city or to make the planet disappear.
Possibly. Well, they wanted something that would be considered literal neutral space and not any sort of piece of land. Now, it's floating over a neutral planet that was not habitable. The idea would have been that it was something that was not tied to any sort of actual locale. That would be the idea of making a space station the place where everyone met in space. That's the reasoning, and that the reason why they decided to do this is basically in the response to the Earth Minbari War, which was freaking almost wiped out an entire species. So that's where everyone kind of got on board.
It was the humans what wanted to make the space UN.
It was the humans and the Minbari actually coming together is what got everyone else to kind of come together and say, oh yeah, I guess we'll participate as well. And the humans, the crux of the show is the humans are kind of the big dogs. They're the new kids on the block, but they're doing a lot of cool things. Like they're the ones taking initiative on a lot of stuff. Everyone else is embroiled, and they're either been around for forever and they're not doing anything, or they're embroiled in their own history and past and conflicts.
And this pilot took place 10 years after a war that almost wiped out the entire human race.
Yes,
it's pretty quick to come back with 5 space stations. Well, I like the space UN idea. I'm a nerd. I like weird politics stuff. I like the politicking. I enjoyed the politicking that took place in the quasi courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't quite understand the rules of the court. It just kind of looked like a bad John Grisham novel, but it looked more like a kangaroo court than an actual court, because that dude just waltzed around and did a bunch of stuff. There didn't seem to really be any rules, and then at the end they just voted.
Yeah,
he got to say whatever the hell he wanted. The other dude got no defense. They just interviewed the doctor, and then like, well, this is bullshit.
It's basically a forum. It's like a forum for the ambassadors to kind of shout at each other, and then maybe something gets done. But during the course of the series, if I recall correctly, mostly it just ends in a deadlock or nothing gets resolved. Like people just get there, they try to get something resolved, everyone flips out, some other asshole declares war on some other asshole, and then that's
as you do.
I think the shapeshifter was a little weak.
Absolutely, the changeling net. When they did the fight, they had to do the Kirk versus clone Kirk, and every time somebody shapeshifts, there's always that back and forth.
He looked like somebody told him that he was going to be the Kirk of the 90s. Like his hair was like Kirk perfect.
Who are we talking about?
The captain,
Sinclair.
Sinclair. Yeah, he just looked like he was told he was going to be. Okay, so he got in a fist fight and won. He negotiated down a crazed drug, like a hostage taking situation, and he slept with a chick. He's the Kirk of the 90s.
Hey, that guy who smuggled in the drugs and pulled out a gun was then told that neither of those things were allowed on the space station, but he knew because he smuggled them in.
It seemed like that's all Sinclair talks about when he gets to the gate, because he's talking to the psychic chick and he's like, this is the shit that's not allowed. 1, don't read other people's minds unless you're allowed. 2, don't gamble, but you can go in there. 3, stay out of business dealings and aren't your friends. This guy pulls a gun on somebody. Look here. 1, don't bring guns on the station. 2, this dude is all about itemized lists.
Oh, and 2 things. 1, no weapons or dust allowed on Babylon 5. 2, we've logged your ship's ID. If you ever come within 50 clicks of this station again, we'll blow you out of the sky.
Again, it really felt stage play in that way, and like looking at it as a stage play instead of a television show, I think I like it better.
That's probably very accurate. It is more like a stage play than it is a typical TV show. And I would say that the series as a whole has a lot more of that. There are a lot more of those moments. You get 2 characters together and you have them do a scene, and they do a scene, as opposed to it like trying to like recreate what would really happen in reality.
I wonder if those actors had actual like stage experience.
Yeah, they were all from the Pasadena Community Theater.
Beep, beep. Beep, beep? It must be Earth humor. Who can figure a species like that? Beep, beep. Oh!
Talking about the special effects, anything that stood out beyond the CG we can't get around. I particularly think it still looks fine.
It actually was not as bad as I remember it. Although I'm remembering stuff I think from episodes throughout the thing and not the pilot. Again, though, it's serviceable, most of it. Some of the stuff was really, really bad looking. The bug ship was pretty bad looking.
Yeah.
Didn't like the Vorlon ship.
With stuff like that, it's about how complicated it looks. So a lot of the stuff that we were seeing was literally just, ships moving through space and like latching on. Every once in a while, like a little laser beam would come out, but it was very simple. I've seen some of the stuff from what I presume to be later when there's big scary fights and all these things moving, all the moving parts, and that's when it starts to look a little rebooty.
For me, obviously you're younger, so when I was seeing it, I never had a problem with the CG. When I was watching it, I never had that disconnect.
I appreciate that there weren't people interacting with the CG. Like that's usually like from that earlier CG. That's usually like a death knell for it.
Yeah.
Oh, I presume there's got to be some particularly alien aliens. God, what a terrible line that dude. That dude's a fucking doctor.
Even for an alien, this one is pretty alien.
He's not a doctor anymore. They fired him.
Do they get a new doctor?
They get a new doctor. They get Dr. Franklin. Dr. Franklin's young and hip and awesome.
I wonder how often actors get replaced for pilots.
A lot.
That's got to suck. Like if you're like on a pilot for like a show that does crazy well. It's like,
oh yeah. I mean, if you ever watch like Cheers pilots and like Drew Carey show pilots, but then again, it goes the other way too. I mean, this is obviously aggressive, but Mimi Bobek from Drew Carey show, the fat lady, she was only supposed to be there as like a mean girl for the pilot, and everybody liked her so much they just hired her. So I presume it goes that way sometimes too.
Yeah, I guess it would. Not for B5 though.
No,
because Straczynski had this written out, and he had contingency plans.
Was he Roddenberry-esque about his stuff? Was he like? Because I remember hearing like Roddenberry was like straight on and can be fickle, and
I would say, okay,
was he a Devo?
He's worse. He's worse than Roddenberry because Roddenberry didn't have a plan. Roddenberry had a vision, and then they just did episodes of space, and he just said, you can't do this, you can't do that, this is what I want. Straczynski was writing a book, and this was his book, and you can't change his book. It's his book. So there wasn't a sense where there was never any conflict with the other creators because there weren't any.
In the series, is there a lot of sidetracking from the story, or is almost everything pushing along this main story?
Season 1 has more traditional episodic things because it's meant to be a build-up. You're not supposed to really catch on to there's a big drama. And so Season 1 has small little hints. They resolve a lot of mysteries, and they do a lot of cool stuff. But it's also interposed with like a alien kickboxing tournament and somebody's friend that comes from somewhere else, and they have a little drama there. They're like more traditional Star Trek-y or sci-fi.
Smaller scale,
little stories that just kind of have a writer come in and write. But then you get into once season 1 ends, you go to season 2. From that point on, it's just a constant build. Everything's episodic still. There's usually some sort of drama until you get to like season 3, 4, the main crux of it, and then you're just kind of falling into the chaos.
There's a hole in your mind.
I didn't start watching Babylon 5 seriously until season 2. I was watching like Earth 2 and everything else that was on as well, and this was conflicting with something else I was watching. So I didn't watch season 1. I think I tried to watch. I saw the pilot in the bookstore where I gamed. I saw it like it was on one of the TV monitors, and they were showing like the pilot was actually on, and I watched like a bit of it. And I'm like, this is dumb.
You realize that was like 27 years ago?
Nah, it wasn't. It was like yesterday. Shut your face. Shut your face hole, Poncho.
Do we ever meet the guy who runs the casino in B5?
I don't.
Is there
I don't think there's
a quirk?
Did you not see the space gorilla? At the bar? The bartender Space Gorilla?
Yes.
He was clearly gorilla costume with like some other stuff sewn on it.
Mm-hmm.
He's my favorite.
And they were watching Dinosaurs.
They were clearly watching
Dinosaurs.
That was a puppet.
They were watching Dinosaurs.
And you don't get a quark.
Was Dinosaurs on by this time?
Probably.
I think so, yeah. I don't know.
Did they overlap at all?
Because this was Babylon 5 was on during high school.
Not for me.
Not for you. For the real men at the table, Babylon 5 was around during high school. I remember my brother watched it, my best friend watched it, so I had a lot of validation about the show, and I became a huge fan. I still am. I wasted money on these stupid DVDs. I think we've done as much as we were gonna do on the pilot.
Cool.
I am glad you guys sat and watched it with me. I enjoyed rewatching it. It's hard to rewatch for me, so it's nice to have an excuse to to sit through that hour and a half. I guess it was. Closing comments I want from you guys. What's your overall impression of your desire to potentially watch more Babylon 5? You don't have to commit to it, but after watching this, don't put yourself in the mindset of a person living back then, but like if your friend just said, "Hey, watch this thing for me. Do you want to watch more?"
So lots of people have asked me to watch Babylon 5. And my answer's always been no, because it's always been stupid. This seems less stupid, and I'm actually very excited to see how it changes and see what the story is. So I would definitely want to watch more Babylon 5.
John's on board for more Babylon 5, Poncho. Are you on board for more Babylon 5?
If I was left to my own devices, it would be very difficult for me to go back to B5. I would probably have to wait until I ran out of every other thing in the world that I wanted to watch. However, if I'm spending time with people and this is what they're watching, and I'm not going to groan too loudly. Like, I don't know if I can tell you how poorly I view television of like the early 90s and like the late 80s, like excluding some of the great stuff, but just the way that they design is very kitschy how they make episodes and how they kind of construct stories and stuff in episodes and stuff like that. And it's difficult for me to watch sometimes. But if I'm hanging out with a bunch of bros, or two bros perhaps, and they're watching it, sure, yeah, whatever.
You're down for pretty much anything.
No, but like if I came over and you guys were watching B5, sure, I watched the B5. I got no problem.
That's cool. I'm glad you guys watched it. I had a lot of fun. I'm glad you guys answered the questions. Well, John avoided the questions. That never ends well. But Poncho, you at least jokingly answered the two very important questions.
I play along.
There are more questions. Those are the two big ones. So that's it. We watched Babylon 5, The Gathering, the pilot episode. We had some fun talking about it. I think we had some fun watching it. There were little giggles.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So maybe we'll watch some more Babylon 5, or maybe we'll watch some other old shows. Probably not any new shows, because what the hell are we going to add to that conversation, really? But
it's because they're old.
Yeah, we're old people. You're the one who wanted to watch fucking old sitcoms from the 80s and cartoons.
I specifically said not old sitcoms from the 80s just now.
90s sitcoms.
Next time we're going to watch Benson.
Oh, no.
I'm down for watching an episode of Benson.
Next time we should watch Brave Star.
I'll watch Brave Star. I liked it.
Eyes of the wolf, speed of the puma.
The what?
What?
Open all communications channels. This is Lieutenant Commander Laurel Takashima. Our docking bay stand ready to receive you. Babylon 5 is open for business.